Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking one of the absolute most terrifying urban legends of all time, the story of Cropsey. But look, we aren't just going to sit here and swap campfire ghost stories. We're diving straight into how the historical truth behind the boogeyman of Staten Island is, quite frankly, vastly more disturbing than any fiction.
I mean, we've all heard them, right? Those spooky campfire tales designed to keep us out of the dark, away from the woods, and safe in our beds. But what if the monster hiding in the trees wasn't actually a myth at all? Seriously, what happens when a local legend literally walks right out of our imaginations and into our neighborhoods?
Sociologists tell us that these tales aren't just made up out of thin air. Urban legends carry this sort of double face, a serious one and an exaggerated one. They actually act as stylized coping mechanisms, born from the very real, unspeakable anxieties happening right in our own backyards. And as we're going to see, Staten Island in the 1970s had some very, very real anxieties.
Section 1. The Legend of Cropsey, Staten Island's Campfire Tale.
So, according to the folklore whispered by locals and camp counselors, Cropsey was this deranged patient who completely vanished after escaping from a local asylum. The story goes that he lived in these abandoned subterranean tunnels and wielded a bloody axe or, in some versions, a hook hand. He'd wait for nightfall to hunt and kidnap kids who wandered just a little too close to the woods. It's the ultimate boogeyman setup, but to understand where this story actually came from, we have to look at the reality.
Section 2. The Real Horror. Willowbrook, a true nightmare.
3,000. That was the maximum capacity Willowbrook was originally built for. It was designed as an institution for children with intellectual and developmental disabilities, but it wildly exceeded that limit, ballooning to hold thousands more than it was ever meant to. It became hopelessly overcrowded and severely understaffed, leading to just unimaginable neglect.
And the conditions were beyond horrific. After a completely shocking visit in 1965, Senator Robert F. Kennedy famously compared the facility to a snake pit, noting that the children there were living in absolute filth. We're talking rampant abuse and profound isolation.
The true scale of the horror was pushed further into the public eye by a groundbreaking 1972 television exposé by reporter Geraldo Rivera. He actually managed to get cameras inside, exposing the severe neglect and systemic abuse in an environment that he stated literally smelled of death. Patients were just left on the floor, malnourished, completely neglected.
But the medical cruelty went even further. 50, in one of the absolute most shocking abuses of medical trust in history, a researcher named Dr. Saul Krugman intentionally infected 50 healthy children at Willowbrook with hepatitis A, and he did this simply to study the effects of the disease. This was the dark, incredibly heavy reality sitting right in Staten Island's backyard.
Section 3. The Missing Children, when myth meets reality. The true nightmare began when local kids actually started disappearing. Over a tragic 15-year span, vulnerable individuals just vanished without a trace near the abandoned Willowbrook grounds. We're talking about 5-year-old Alice Pereira in 1972, all the way to 12-year-old Jennifer Schweiger in 1987. The community was, understandably, in a complete panic. The boogeyman was no longer just a scary story. He was taking real kids.
But the real monster wasn't some supernatural phantom with a hook hand hiding in the shadows. Fact proved to be far more mundane, and honestly far scarier. The prime suspect was a former employee blending right into the community, a guy who was often just seen pushing a woman's green bicycle through the streets.
Section 4. Andre Rand, the true boogeyman.
So who exactly was he? Well, Andre Rand was a former orderly and custodian at Willowbrook with an extensive, highly disturbing criminal record involving children. Back in 1969, he was arrested for the attempted assault of a 9-year-old girl. Then, in a completely bizarre 1983 incident, he hijacked a school bus of 11 children, bought them fast food, took them to the airport, and then brought them back. As a transient, he actually lived in a makeshift shanty camp right on the edge of the abandoned Willowbrook ruins and its massive tunnel system.
The terrifying reality really reached its peak in 1987. After 12-year-old Jennifer Schweiger went missing, massive volunteer search parties combed the Staten Island woods, and they made a gruesome discovery. Jennifer's body was found in a shallow grave on the Willowbrook grounds, dangerously close to where Andre Rand had set up his campsite. Plus, eyewitnesses had literally seen Rand walking with Jennifer on the very day she disappeared. Naturally, when Rand was finally arrested, the media spun wildly out of control.
Now, it's important to remember this was all happening during the height of the 1980s satanic panic. The lines between Rand's actual crimes and terrifying rumors completely blurred. Tabloids were claiming he had ties to occult groups like the Process Church of the Final Judgment. People were suggesting he was kidnapping children for blood mass sacrifices, or even digging up bodies for rituals. Now, none of this occult activity was ever actually proven, but it absolutely fueled the public's terror. It spread like wildfire.
The legal battle that followed was incredibly complex. Multiple eyewitnesses definitively placed Rand with the missing victims. But the police fundamentally lacked the physical evidence to tie him directly to the murders. This lack of physical proof actually led to a deadlocked jury on the murder charge for Jennifer. Ultimately, the eyewitness testimony was only enough to convict him of kidnapping Jennifer in 1988. Years later, in 2004, he was also convicted of kidnapping Holly Ann Hughes.
2037. Andre Rand was handed multiple 25 years to life sentences. He remains locked away in prison today, still maintaining his complete innocence. And he will not be eligible for parole until the year 2037, at which point he'll be 91 years old.
But I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to wrap up this explainer. Since Andre Rand was only ever convicted of kidnapping and has never once confessed to murder, it leaves a massive, chilling blank spot in this story. Did he act alone? Was he handing these kids off to a wider network of abusers connected to Willowbrook? Or is it possible that the true boogeyman, the one who actually committed the murders, is still out there, hiding in the dark? Definitely something to think about next time you hear a campfire story.